Welcome to Sleep Geography. I'm glad you're here. Settle into your softest place. Let your shoulders fall. Let your breath lengthen. This is your time to unwind, to drift, to be gently carried. I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from. Share your city or your corner of the map in the comments, and imagine all of us resting together beneath the same wide sky. Tonight, our minds will drift to Thailand, toward a coastline of emerald islands and turquoise coves, where limestone rises from calm seas and the evening light turns gold. Think of warm, fragrant air. Think of a horizon painted in peach and rose, and a hush that feels ancient and kind. If you find peace here, consider subscribing, so these quiet journeys are always within reach. Now take another easy breath. Allow the day to fade. When you're ready, we'll begin our slow arrival. You arrive from a high, quiet distance. Below, the coast unfurls in soft curves. Sea and shore clasp each other in calm turquoise light. A map made of colours rather than lines, its edges blurred by gentle heat. The sun is low and generous. Gold turns to apricot, then to a tender pink that slides across the sky like the lightest fabric. Humidity turns the glow velvety, so every outline is kind. Far beneath, the water glows in bands, pale mint near sand, then aquamarine, then a deep sea-glass teal. The gradient reads like a story of depth told in calm breaths. Light scatters across it like sifted gold, bright flecks drifting with the smallest undulations. Islands emerge as if breathed up from the sea. Tall emerald karsts rise straight from the water, pillars of rock softened by time, topped with small jungles and trailing vines. Their surfaces are pocked and fluted, a folded language written by rain and salt. You drift along Thailand's Andaman coast. Krabi, Phang Nga Bay, a realm of green towers and shining channels. The karsts stand both rooted and weightless, ancient and tender. Each one feels like a small, complete world with its own shade and its own quiet. The light drapes their faces, one side warm, one side cool. Streaks of iron stain the stone where water has wandered, thin ribbons of ochre and brown. At their feet the rock is scalloped, where the sea has breathed against it for years. A quiet history is written in shadow and glow. From this height beaches arc like brushed crescents. Palms lean in thin lines, their fronds like green fans fanned open to the light. Where water kisses sand, a slender brightness gleams like a smile, and behind it, faint ribs of tide mark the shore like soft handwriting. You relax into the space around you. The air is warm and full, yet light, lifting and holding at once. Your attention widens, then settles like sun on a quiet bay, unhurried and whole. A path of gold lies on the water, a single brushstroke leading toward the horizon. Within it, tiny glints blink and vanish as the surface tilts. You drift along the path without effort, as if guided by a gentle hand. Underneath, pale reefs pattern the seafloor, low hummocks and plate shapes, boulders softened by the lens of water. Sandbars curl like sleeping ribbons, their edges laced with foam that thins and disappears. Patches of darker green hint at seagrass waving slowly in the current. The karsts grow close. One leans slightly, its crown thick with figs and ferns, roots searching for grip in seams of stone. Another part's in a narrow cleft, the water slipping through like polished light. Farther on, a ring of rock encloses a hidden lagoon, jade green and calm under leaf shadow, a secret of stillness you do not need to enter to know. Warmth gathers as you descend. The air is humid, embracing, the kind of warmth that rests rather than presses. It smells of salt and leaf, and then frangipani, sweet and creamy, drifting in small, generous waves that seem to arrive on the same rhythm as your breath. You breathe it in, your breath lengthens, petals come to mind, waxen, white, with a butter-yellow heart. The body understands, here you can rest. Shapes become familiar without needing names. A bell of rock turned upside down, the arched back of some gentle animal at ease in shallow water, an overhang like the eave of a quiet house. You let them pass like clouds, lovely because they are themselves. The coast opens wider, bays like open hands, headlands like soft ribs. Sand changes tone with the light, from pale shell to warm beige, and where the sunlight falls at an angle, a faint pearly sheen appears as if the day itself were smiling back. Forest meets beach in a soft gradient, low shrubs first, then a tangle of roots, then the deeper green of trees. Pandanus and sea almonds gather at the edge, their roots half exposed, bracing the shore. Palms lift their fronds like a quiet chorus, each leaflet catching a thin line of gold. Farther inland, the green thickens into cool shade, but even at a distance you can see glossy leaves and the rounded rosettes of ferns clinging to damp rock. Birds' nest ferns holding their own small gardens of captured leaf and rain. A low, slender cloud floats to the north, touched pink by the sun. High above, the thinnest veil of cirrus catches faint lavender. The sky keeps its hush and its layers. The water holds the colour of the sky, peach, rose and blue folded together like silk. Long, low swells rise and fall like the breathing of a great, gentle body. Where they pass beneath the golden path, the light breaks into bright scales that knit and unknit. Shallows brighten to mint. Channels deepen to jade. Beyond, the sea gathers into a calm, inviting blue that invites the gaze to rest there without needing to reach. Depth is a story told by colour and calm. This is the first impression. Openness, warmth, and a caressing light that makes everything feel cared for. You enter the clustered realm of Phang Nga. The karsts arrange themselves in informal corridors, some solitary, some shoulder to shoulder. Between them, silent avenues open and close. There are paths in every direction. Patience is the only map you need. The sun descends another quiet degree. Apricot deepens, pink cools at the edges. A faint amber gathers along the horizon, and the air itself seems to glow. Dusk prepares a place for itself, turning down the coverlet of the day. You slip between two towers, and the water brightens to a luminous green as light bounces off stone. The cliffs frame the surface like a bowl, and for a moment the hue is electric with reflected colour. As you emerge, it softens back to jade. Variety arrives without insistence and natural kindness. The faces of the karsts reveal texture. Furrows where water runs in the rains, small pockets like old thumbprints, ledges decorated with miniature trees. From some overhangs, slender limestone draperies hang, delicate fangs shaped by patient drips. Lichens and moss stipple the shaded parts with an almost silvery green. A long-tail boat draws a thin white line, and then releases it to smoothness. For a breath, the boat's shadow darkens the jade beneath, a passing shade on a long face of light. The scene keeps its hush. The air presses softly, completing its thought on your skin. It tastes of salt at the back of your throat and a faint mineral coolness, as if the stone itself had shared a breath. Frangipani sweetens the edge. Vanilla soft, sun-warmed, kind, with a memory of late afternoon gardens. You pass a sandbar that arcs like a smile. On one side, a pale lagoon held in a cradle of mangroves, their roots like woven fingers. On the other, open turquoise that carries the sky. Shorebirds stand on fine legs, facing the same way as if listening to the same quiet message. Their reflections are tiny doubles on a page of glass. Shadows of palms lengthen in delicate strokes, ribs and fans written softly on the sand. Nothing is harsh, even edges are gentle, and the places where light meets shade feel like invitations to rest the eyes. A karst with a narrow beach at its feet wears a ribbon of white sand. Dried frangipani blooms have fallen there like small stars. Another karst has a round hole framing a rectangle of sky, a keyhole between blue and blue, the rock polished by wind and time into a clean curve. You notice a cave entrance at the base of a cliff facing the sea. The opening is cool dark against warm stone, and the air near it seems to carry a slight freshness. Beyond lies a pocket of still water, faintly shadowed and calm. Refuge exists here without requirement. The idea of shade is enough to soothe. Inland, beyond the first folds of green, you sense a glow. Maybe a spire catching the last light, gold answering gold. A cheddy's tip or a small shrine's finial might be holding a single leaf of fire. You don't need to see it to know the spirit in the air. The place feels blessed and old. The scene is abundant and quiet. Stone shaped by patient rain and tide. Roots finding cracks and making forests. Leaves turning light into food and shade with no hurry. Everything here is made of time's gentleness. A faint breeze, warm and damp, brushes your face. Air that has touched the sea and come to greet you, carrying a thin lace of spray. You feel at home inside its kindness, as if it knew your name without needing to say it. The horizon softens. Sea and sky trade colours. A very thin band of violet appears where day will let night in. It is the hour when edges blur and distinctions soften. Your thoughts do the same. You're not apart from the vista. You're inside it, steady and calm. You rise slightly for a broader view. Dozens of islands, near and far. Some are tall with sheer sides, some lower and rounded. Each throws a shadow onto the water, elongated and dusky, drifting slowly as the sun slides west. The spaces between them are not empty. You can feel their presence like the rests between notes, necessary and kind. To your left, a headland extends like an open hand. Greens layer from deep to bright, new leaves catching the low light with a faint lacquered shine. Here and there the red of earth shows at a small cut in the slope. At its tip scattered rocks row the water, wearing crowns of white where small waves pause and lay down a lace. The same soft sea moves around and beyond unbothered. A sand spit appears, warm cream against the blue. Under very shallow water, fine ripples migrate with a slow current, their geometry simple and satisfying. On one side, mangroves cradle the lagoon with a web of roots. On the other, the open sea holds the horizon. Two worlds joined by a tender seam that holds with ease. Light behaves differently on each surface. On rock it blesses, slanting gold warming stone to honey. On water, it becomes a path and a scatter of sparks. On sand, it smooths texture to a nap, soft as a sleeping dog. Light visits with generosity and departs with grace. The hour ripens, orange gains depth and a low burnished tone. Pink drifts toward violet at the sky's rim. A low cloud gathers all the colours at once, a soft blaze, and then lets them go slowly as it thins. Faint rays, like the fingers of the sun reaching through a distant veil, mark the sky with quiet emphasis. You ease into the sight the way one leans into a pillow. Your breath falls into a slow rhythm. Warmth arrives on the inhale, release on the exhale. The air and your body agree with each other. The cliffs of Krabi rise, a sweep of stone draped in green. Their faces are striated with old watermarks, like a chart of rains. In places pale limestone flows form curtains, frozen mid-pour. The base is laced with sand and shallows, the water a delicate mint near shore and deeper turquoise beyond. Colours blend where they meet, the way good memories fold into quiet. A feeling of presence hums beneath the visible. Stones that endure, trees that lift without strain, water that keeps moving and remains itself. The place holds its own peaceful gravity. Even the shadows feel patient. You drift lower, close enough to notice leaves and small flowers clinging to the karsts. Ferns grow in rosettes from tiny ledges. Orchids find perches and hold their glossy leaves out like cups. Vines hang in long arcs and touch the water, rinsing themselves. In the cradles of certain branches, pockets of leaf litter form small brown islands of future soil. Ripples cross a path of sunlight and break it into bright shards. Each shard is a moment. Each moment is enough. Then the ripples pass and the golden path heals itself, a single ribbon again. At the horizon, sea and sky dissolve into one another. Dusk is a gradual kindness, a soft slide rather than a step. You let it happen to you. White sand blazes softly in the last light. Powder fine, the patient work of coral and shell. At the edge of the sea, tiny foams lace and unlaced, leaving delicate arcs. Footprints soften and fill, as if the shore were erasing the day with care. Warm air continues to share itself. The fragrance holds steady. Frangipani woven with salt, a garden by the sea. Sometimes the sweetness grows rounder, sometimes the salt more precise, and the blend changes with the turn of the breeze. You rise once more for a final wide view. The islands are dignified and playful, lanterns of green on silk blue water. Their long shadows are ink brush strokes across a page of light. The sky is richest now, orange at the core, pink at the edges, a faint purple where night waits with patience, content just to be near. Vastness and intimacy meet. The scene is larger than you and for you at once. The paradox is easy to carry. You feel both small and perfectly placed. You imagine land beyond the coast, paddies holding the day's light, small towns with narrow lanes, a temple tucked in trees where saffron cloth dries in tender shade. Not needed now. The shore is a complete world, sufficient and serene. The sun leans toward the water. The disk becomes an amber coin behind a gauze of warmth. A bright seam of reflection stretches toward you, then breaks into bright moving tesserae, the sea's gentle mosaic. Vantage or not, the feeling is true. The day has done its best and can rest. You can too. Heat held in stone and sand rises into the air and wraps you. The warmth from the water is a soft exhale. Light lingers on the sea even after it leaves the sky, the surface carrying memory a little longer. Fragrance returns, floral and clean, as steady as breath. You look again at the karsts, rising forms that suggest grace, acceptance, and a vertical gratitude without words. Their flanks host small trees with glossy leaves, creeping figs that stitch one ledge to another, lichens painting pale maps. In the upper air, swiftlets draw thin arcs, quick writing that soon erases itself. The lesson is simple: stand kindly, be shaped gently. One by one, small details let go. Birds dissolve into green. A far boat melts into horizon. The glossy shine on leaves softens. Shadows become the deeper half of light. The scene simplifies into a few gentle shapes under a tender sky. Inside, a soft bell of recognition. The day closes like a book. Nothing lost. Everything kept in a quieter way. Orange thins to peach. Pink cools to rose, then lavender. A first star hesitates and appears, a bright, steady point above the western glow. You greet it like a friend arriving right on time. Shore lights flicker faintly, never loud. Perhaps a small shrine holds a single flame. Perhaps a boat at anchor shows a pearl of light. The spirit of the coast continues in the quiet, a soft care that does not sleep. Twilight deepens. Teal shifts to navy. The emerald of the karsts becomes a noble green-black with a velvety sheen where the last light rests. The sky turns to silk, its colour changing as you turn your gaze. In the shallowest water, a few sparks of plankton answer the fading light with a shy, cool glow when the surface stirs. You lower once more, close enough to feel warmth rising from the sea. The air is like a cup held near the face, humid, gently fragrant, kind to the skin. You imagine dipping your hand and lifting the scent. Salt, far-off flowers, the last trace of sun. Even the thought soothes. Palms sway along the shore in a conversation with the breeze. Fronds stroke the air in long, slow arcs, the movement effortless. Along the sand, scattered shells catch a last whisper of light, and then that light slides away. Your awareness drifts like a tide. Horizon to single island to one curve of water, then outward again. Everywhere you look, it is still this. There is nowhere to go that is not calm. Your gaze becomes a gentle current, your mind a quiet bay. You think of how colour falls asleep, lanterns dimming one by one, each leaving a soft after-image. Night gathers not to conceal but to keep to hold what the day has made with care. Muscles release, jaw softens, hands grow still, the space behind the eyes opens. Warm air holds you where you are. No agenda, only presence, gently embraced by larger presences. More stars appear, cool and sure. The sea answers with faint points in the afterglow, the last bright grains on the water's skin. You feel the earth turning and yourself held. No hurry in either sensation, only agreement. Fragrance anchors you. Frangipani, round and sweet. Clean salt. A green note like leaves after warm rain. The air becomes a soft tapestry. You are wrapped in it, and wrapped within that. The coast itself. The vista does not darken so much as deepen. Shapes remain. Space remains. Welcome remains. In gentler light they grow clearer by feeling rather than sight. You know this coast now by its feeling. Ease, bright kindness, slow time, stones that stand, seas that speak in quiet, air that blesses, warmth that never leaves the room. One last gaze from above, emerald karsts like lanterns, turquoise water like breath, shadows like ink strokes, the sky a tender roof of warm colour and new stars. Along a line of small waves, a faint silver seams the edges, proof that even in near dark light is patient. Inside, something answers with a steady yes. This yes grows spacious and soft, like a hammock of acceptance hung between evening and sea. You have arrived. Evening holds you, warm, fragrant and calm, within the wide embrace of Thailand's coast. Emerald towers rise from calm turquoise sea. The sky carries orange and pink into dusk, then into a velvet blue scattered with stars. The air is humid and kind, heavy with frangipani and salt. Your breath matches the rhythm. The grand vista rests within you, complete and serene. You remain with the coast as first light loosens the edge of night. The beach opens in a quiet arc. White sand holds the night's warmth like a gentle memory and keeps it near the surface for your feet to find. The air is humid and kind. It rests on your skin like warm water and lingers, a soft shawl that never asks to be removed. At the shore, the sea is a clear veil over rippled sand. Each ridge is neat, a calm script written by the tide in regular lines that bend and straighten with grace. As the sun lifts, colour pours in. Clear becomes aquamarine, then a clean, calm turquoise. The gradient arrives as if polished by light itself. The water laps with soft patience, laying down a lace of foam that vanishes as if it never was. A faint hush travels along the line and is absorbed by air. You step into the shallows, warm at the surface, cooler at the ankles, cooler again when a small swell folds past your calves. The temperature arranges itself in gentle layers that soothe the skin. The sand is satin smooth beneath your feet. Grains are fine enough to slip like silk and still substantial enough to hold you. They cling and release, smoothing your steps back into place as if the shore were smiling. Light writes a moving lattice on the floor of the sea. A net of brightness drifts and mends with each small movement, a living geometry of sun and water settling into balance. As you stand still, the sea's clarity shows the half-moon beds your heels leave, then erases them with calm precision. Rest and renewal take turns without argument. Small fish flicker like fragments of silver, nearly the colour of water. They turn once and disappear into clarity, the day passing through them without resistance. You move a little deeper. Warmth brushes your thighs, then cool threads arrive from below. Your skin reads the water as a page of tenderness. Farther along, a tidal pool keeps a miniature world. Pale coral nubs dot the bottom like buttons. Tiny snails draw clean trails through bright sand. Coins of light glide and scatter, then collect again as the surface steadies. At the back of the beach, low dunes rise gently. Sepia slain and beach morning glory thread soft green lines, mapping the slope with quiet purpose. Flowers open like cool cups, violet, white-scented, holding a little of their own shade. Palms lean from one end of the shore. fronds spreading many-fingered. Their leaves hold points of light along every rib. Shade lays soft, leaf-shaped patterns on your arms, shifting at the pace of air. The sand higher up is warmer and drier, a fine powder that whispers through your fingers when you let it go. A finger's depth below, it cools and compacts, storing the night for the day to rediscover. The scent is salt and sun-warmed sand, with a fine thread of lingering sweetness from night-blooming flowers. A hint of resin lifts now and then from a palm, clean and subtle. The horizon is uncomplicated and friendly. The line where sea meets sky is soft and sure, and the sky keeps a pale blue that grows by degrees. You follow the curve at an easy pace. The water greets your ankles and withdraws without claim. Your breath takes the same even rhythm. Shells bright and dim lie along the tide line, ivory and rose, striped and plain. Some are thin as porcelain, others smooth and dependable in the palm. Each is a small, finished thought the sea has set down. Drift lines hold dried seagrass and caramel curls. They make low borders that mark where the last tide rested, and where this one will later sleep. Beyond a gentle shoulder of sand, you pause beneath palms. Their trunks are ringed with the memory of leaves, their roots clasping the ground with quiet purpose. The shade here is roomy and cool. Where beach meets forest, the air deepens by a note. The greens gather and the temperature softens. You step toward the jungle's edge, and the world thickens in a comforting way. You are within the rainforest now. Trunks rise tall and certain. Buttress roots flare like wings, anchoring height to ground and drawing quiet, graceful curves on the forest floor. Leaves are lacquered and large, tipped to guide water into soil. Shades of green unfold. Lime, jade, viridian, olive, cooling toward blue in shade, warming toward gold where light rests for a moment. Vines hang in swags and braided ropes. Some are thick as wrists, coiling with quiet confidence around trunks. Others are fine cords, the forest's long handwriting, joining branch to branch with patient intention. Air roots descend from high branches like pale threads. They reach ground the way a thought finds its word, uncertain for an instant, then sure. The temperature dips in the shade. Moisture lingers on your skin and gathers at hair's edge. Your breath widens into the close air and is received. The scent is layered. Wet earth, green stem, warm bark, a hush of ginger. Sometimes a faint white sweetness passes and fades, a note placed and allowed to rest. Underfoot, the floor is a mosaic. Leaf, crumbly wood, dark soil, a quiet weave of mycelium. Tiny stems, grains and fibres fit together without hurry. Ferns unfurl in fresh spirals, fronds tidy and new. Bird's nest ferns hold leaf litter like small gardens, making soil by patience alone and keeping a little rain the canopy lets go. Orchids cling to bark with pale roots tipped in green. Their leaves shine in measured bands of light. A sheaf of roots reaches into air and seems to drink it. Moss pads a boulder in saturated velvet. The green is so cool it feels like a taste. Water beads along its surface and slips down in perfect miniature paths. Bracket fungi tear a fallen log in scalloped cream and amber. Their edges are so precise they seem cut, but time has simply been careful. A colony of lichens paints round coins of sage on a shaded trunk. The shapes touch and overlap, a soft, patient currency. Sunlight falls through in slim shafts and turns the air to dusted silk. Where a beam touches a leaf, green turns to glass. Veins show their simple, efficient map. The canopy is layered. Some leaves overlap like tiles. Others stand free like small flags. Gaps reveal blue, then close again as fronds sway and settle. You follow a natural opening where light and shade braid together. The ground is firm with interlaced roots, a natural walkway set by the forest itself. Across a buttress ridge, ants move like a bright thread, then vanish into a crease. A shallow rain pool mirrors a patch of canopy. When a leaf slips onto it, rings move outward with perfect courtesy, and then calm. a pale butterfly crosses your path. It passes like a piece of light unweaving itself. Its presence is a note, then a memory. Between trunks, a pale strip of day appears. The beach still exists, unchanged and near. A simple reassurance on the far side of green. A slow-moving river reveals itself, winding through the lushness with soft bends. You move toward its cool presence and feel the temperature signal your approach. The water is clear with a faint tea tint, steeped by leaves and bark. In shaded stretches it deepens to jade. Where the canopy opens, it lightens to glass. The current carries leaves and petals in an unhurried procession. They drift, turn, and continue. Sometimes an eddy holds one and lets it go. Nothing is rushed. At a bend, sand gathers into a pale bar. Grains arrange themselves by weight, fine near the slack, coarser at the tip. The pattern is precise and effortless. Roots grip the outer bank, sure and resolute. Some reach straight down like heavy cords, others spread like fingers. The held earth is dark and damp, the colour of a rich idea. Nipa palms cluster at the edges, wide-fronded and calm. Their bases lean outward like low, patient fountains. Between them, light falls in soft fans. In the shallows, round leaves float like green discs. Beneath them, slender fish hold steady, tilting just enough to stay. Their translucent fins make tiny gestures without wake. The riverbed is combed into fine lines, a pattern visible when the light leans. Pebbles sit like punctuation between the ridges, small pauses in a long sentence. On the water's skin, the forest paints itself, green strokes over a moving mirror. A piece of sky opens as a window and slides downstream, then closes as a frond passes over. Where the canopy is dense, the river is dark glass with a faint sheen. Where trees step back, colour spills, leaf, sky, filtered gold. Each spill is brief and complete. A great fig's roots reach down in a living curtain, wet and dark where they meet the flow. Behind them, earth rests like a calm thought that will not be moved. A narrow brook threads from the hills and joins without fuss. For a breath, two tones meet, tea over jade, then one river continues as if it had always been whole. On a midstream shoal, tiny shells lie like stars on pale sand. Some are whole spirals, some are halves with clean shining lips. Each catches a minute of sun. The banks carry the fine threads of grasses and the serrated fronds of small ferns. Their roots knit the edge against the river's patient hand. You follow the river through a gentle tightening of valley. The slopes rise and lean inward, green piled upon green, the air 1 degree cooler, 1 shade deeper. Ahead, you feel the idea of falling water before you see it. The air freshens. The light clarifies as if polished. A hidden waterfall appears, a veil dropping from a pale limestone shelf into a clear, cool pool. The fall is modest and generous, a complete curtain that renews itself without strain. Limestone is banded cream and honey. Where water lingers, it darkens one tone. In dry scallops, it brightens to chalk. Moss and small ferns hold to its lip, drinking constant damp from air and stone. You step to the pool's edge. Pebbles lie in gentle constellations. Some are amber, some pale, some grey and marbled with small stories. The water holds a quiet green and shows the bottom clearly until the colour deepens toward the centre. Where the veil meets the surface, a bright circle appears. Ripples renew and renew, overlapping and softening as they travel to the pool's still edges. Each ring is complete and kind. Mist rises and beads on fronds, each droplet a tiny lens. When the air moves a little, the beads gather and drop, leaving a brief, bright trace where they were. The temperature here is a soft cool, like a shade that knows you and is glad. Your skin eases. Your breath finds a smooth, even arc. Calcite has built small terraces along the rock. Water pauses on each and then pours on. An embroidery that never hurries and never tires of being delicate. You slip your fingers into the pool. Cool clarity holds your hand and lets it go. A faint limestone crispness touches your skin and folds into your next breath. On damp walls, filmy ferns open delicate fans. Tiny liverworts glow in bright patches, like miniature forests lit from within. In a narrow crease, a small moss garden looks freshly combed. A shelf wears a sweater of algae, pure green and saturated as a meadow compressed. Near it, a thin root descends and begins to thicken into a new plan. In deeper water, fish the colour of shade drift and still. They tilt slightly, holding to their own quiet. Their presence deepens the calm rather than stirring it. Light moves across the bottom in an unhurried shiver, threads of brightness travelling and fading. The day has set its hand to a gentler practice and keeps it. You step onto a flat stone. Coolness travels through your feet and moves upward. Your shoulders release what they held. A simple balance finds you. The outlet runs clear over small stones. Leaves collect and then release, each journey beginning without emphasis. The channel rejoins the river like a thread woven back into a broader cloth. You remain with the fall until its cool has entered you. Then you follow the river downstream at the speed of its thought. A bamboo stand forms a quiet choir along the bank. Green columns rise in measured intervals, pale nodes marking a rhythm. The narrow leaves turn and flash a gentle silver, then green again. Across a gravel shoal stones rest, quartz like sugar, granite mottled and subdued, limestone chalk soft. Their shapes are kind and rounded, comfortable to the eye. The river widens briefly and then narrows again, not as a contradiction, but as a gesture. The colour stays true, tea over jade, jade over sand, and moves without hurry. You return toward the forest's edge, carrying a small coolness from the water and a little of its clarity. Every crossing is a deepening. The threshold is real and kind. At the margin, beach plants reappear, fleshy leaves, sturdy stems, runners mapping green comfort across sand. Dew lingers in the leaf cups, bending colour into soft circles before falling in neat dark beads. The beach opens broad and patient. The sea holds its turquoise like a polished mood, brightening toward noon and yet remaining gentle. You wade into the shallows again. Pebbles press and roll, then settle. Salt sits at the lips of your breath, clean and precise. The water tastes like distance and sun. Patches of seagrass form dark ellipses. Over them, the water deepens a shade. At their edges, tiny ripples stitch light into moving seams that appear and fold, appear and fold. A low limestone outcrop breaks the sand. Its small cups hold bits of shell and one tiny fern, a pocket garden in stone. The rock's honeycombed face is a catalogue of patient rains. Near a small alcove, a freshwater seep writes a trickle across sand. It braids and unbraids, beads sunlight on shallow ridges, then fans at the shore and disappears into salt with a coolness you feel more than you measure. You crouch and press your palm to the sand here. Warmth near the surface, coolness a breath below. The boundary is thin and satisfying, a soft meeting of day and night. At the river mouth, mangroves stand on stilt roots. Water moves slowly between their knotted ankles, dark and bright in turns. Their trunks are straight and salt-smoothed. Their crowns are dense and glossy. At low water, the roots show their knuckles and make neat arches over pale mud. At high water, only tips breathe. The exchange is precise and calm, timed by the sea's dependable clock. Between roots, the mud records small lives in delicate script. Fine tracks beginning and crossing and fading. The marks are quiet continuities. A short channel under mangrove shade narrows the light to green. Air stills, and your breath feels wider for being held in place. 2 pea-green leaves drift past, turn, bump a root, then continue. A small, complete journey written by water. Beneath them, the sand ripples curve and straighten. A gentle algebra of flow. A few mangrove propagules hang like slim green pens from branches, pointed and prepared. They wait with patience and certainty. Back at the open mouth, Brightness lies soft on the eyes. The turquoise feels truer, as if the light had refined it with slow attention. Beyond, a low headland rises, cloaked in dense green. Pale, porous stone beneath is scalloped where rain has travelled and tucked into ledges where shade rests. The land and sea have agreed on each other for a very long time. You continue under the headland's shadow. The sand narrows to a clean scroll. The shade deepens in a way that pleases, cool-toned, tranquil, a relief within warmth. At the base, limestone shows small rills and pockets. In sheltered hollows, maidenhair ferns gather, each frond a precise fan held on black thread-thin stems. A creeping fig stitches the stone with tiny bright leaves. A small grotto holds a shallow puddle. It mirrors a curved slice of cliff and a bit of sky. The image looks like a painting left for anyone who lingers. Around the bend, a pocket beach waits, no wider than a breath. The sand is very fine, near white, quick to warm and quick to cool. A small outflow from inland braids across it, beads sunlight on its shallow ridges, and spreads a fan as it meets the sea. You kneel. The air here carries a hint of stone sweetness and a soft leaf note. Your hand sinks lightly, and the grains part like silk. You stand and let your attention widen, sea, sand, green, stone. The land reads like a clear sentence written in forms rather than words. Each clause holds the next. You begin a slow return along the familiar curve. The beach's arc is a long kindness. The tide's line is a note that rises and descends without drama, day after day, and will again. Under the palms, the shade has darkened slightly. The sand there is cooler. The patterns of fronds across your arms swim and settle, leaving a tender memory. Near the high dune, beach morning glory opens more flowers. Their throats hold a clear whiteness that glows, even in shade. A small bee visits with simple intention and departs. The openness remains. Where the jungle meets the beach, the threshold breathes in and out. Warm meets cool, sun meets shade, salt meets leaf. The exchange is quiet and complete. You place the scene within your breath. Inhale the sea's clean mineral, exhale the forest's layered green. Your chest holds a shoreline, one air meeting another in ease. The horizon keeps its steady line. Farther out, the blue deepens toward a mellow cobalt. Closer in, the turquoise lifts the mood of the day without speaking. You watch the gentle surf lay down its lace again and again. The rhythm is soft enough to be a thought, and constant enough to be remembered by the body. At the river mouth once more, the mixing line is subtler than before. The difference feels like a word nearly spoken, and then understood without sound. The colours fold into each other and become something wider. The mangrove channel holds its green shade. Clear bubbles rise and burst in pairs that seem to agree. A pale root tip lifts like a quiet finger to take the air and rests again. The headland warms. The stone scent grows faint and sweet. A narrow ledge hosts a band of ferns with tiny, precise leaflets. They nod very slightly and then grow still again. You walk the strand just beyond the headland's bend. The pocket beach's outflow has shifted a little, as all living lines do. The fan at its mouth has a new edge and an old intention. You crouch and pour warm sand from one hand to the other. It falls like fine sugar, then sinks into the beach with a soft completeness. Your palms carry a small heat and give it back to air. You straighten and lift your gaze. From sea to sand to green to stone, the shapes announce themselves and then blend. The lay of the land is not a list but a circle. Each part offers and receives. Back toward the forest, you pause again at the edge of shade. The first trunks repeat their sure verticals. The same deep cool greets you as if it had never left. It hadn't. Inside, a buttress rises with a tawny face and pale grooves where water once travelled. You place your hand there. The wood is not cold. It is stored cool, patient and exact. A vine loops from one branch to another and hangs a bit of green curtain between two rooms of light. The divide is gentle. Both rooms are welcome. At your feet, a fallen frond lies like a ribcage, leaflets repeating in perfect intervals. Through its frame, a seedling rises with two bright leaves and a sure, compact posture. You look up. Layers of green rise in steps, gloss above, velvet below. Edges catch light, middles hold shadow. The sky shows between everything as soft punctuation. You step back toward the beach with the forest resting inside you. You carry its cool as a thought you can recall without effort. The turquoise waits. The sand receives. The horizon stays composed and wide, the kind of line that asks nothing and gives permission. You enter the shallows once more. Warmth greets you, then silk cool arrives. A lattice of light glides over your legs and continues on, writing brightness for a few more heartbeats before letting go. You stand still, and the sea stands still with you, or seems to. A gentle pulse passes and keeps the ocean, while keeping you at peace. You let the eye run a slow inventory. The curve of shore, the line of palms, the low hills inland wearing green like a promise. Clouds round themselves above the hills with white tops and blue undersides, and drift without insistence. The air stays heavy and generous, a kind weight that you do not need to carry. It carries you. The sea laps, the river winds, the jungle holds, the waterfall pours, the mangroves breathe, the headland keeps quiet watch. Together they make a single, generous chord that you can feel without trying. If you close your eyes, the map remains. Satin sand underfoot, humid air on skin, cool stone beneath fingers, a gentle pull of current, a light mist on the face, a trace of resin and salt at the back of the breath. When you open them, nothing has moved away. Everything is as you left it, deepened by your being here. The colours are slightly more themselves, the textures hold a softer edge, the forms keep their kind intentions. Beach, jungle, river, waterfall, mangrove, headland. 6 rests in one song that continues without end and without urgency. You're part of the lay of the land now. It rests in you the way the river holds light, settled, reflective, complete, without effort, without end. You remain where sea and land meet, and let the line of your gaze turn inland. The coast keeps its calm at your back. Ahead, a gentle rise carries green toward a quiet town folded around a river. You follow the river's soft bend. The water remembers the sky. Reflections slow themselves and become clear. Along the bank you see a curve of white walls and a roof of layered red and green tiles. Gold glimmers at the edges, unhurried and warm. You're approaching a temple. A simple gate opens like a breath. 2 guardians watch with kindness. Naga serpents curling along the stair's edge, their bodies a flowing geometry of scales and light. You step forward. Shoes slip off and wait at the threshold. Your feet receive the cool of stone, smooth and steady beneath you. The courtyard opens wide. To one side, a Bodhi tree spreads a thoughtful crown. Heart-shaped leaves hold a bright edge of sun. Ahead, a golden chedi rises, rounded, bright and sure. Its surface carries thin sheets of gold leaf laid by many hands. The gold has taken the touch of time and grown softer. At the chedi's peak, a small umbrella of tears holds the morning light like a fine flame. Around the base, small niches hold gentle Buddhas, each face patient and centered. The main hall rests close by. White walls, deep eaves, a roof in tiers that lift like breath. At the roof's tips, choffers point skyward, slender and confident, like a bird poised for stillness. Between roof tiles, mirrored mosaics set in gables catch the day in small fragments and send it back in measured sparks. Along the eaves, wind chimes hang in rows. When the air moves, a scattering of soft notes passes through space and fades into light. You walk slowly around the chedi. Its roundness invites a circle. The path is simple. Each step settles you. On a low pedestal, offerings rest. A bowl with water and a floating lotus, a candle half remembering its flame, a small dish of fruit. Everything is fresh, nothing is urgent. The scent here is faint and layered, wax and clean air, a thread of sandalwood, a hint of blossoms from the courtyard. You move toward the hall and pause at the threshold. The door panels are carved with gentle precision. Leaves, vines, mythic creatures curling into themselves, all attentive and calm. Inside, the floor is cool. The light is golden and filtered, drawn through high windows and softened by age and space. You're within a place that holds stillness as if it were water. A Buddha sits at the far end in a posture of easy poise. The hands rest in the lap. The shoulders are relaxed. The face is calm, a quiet lake of intention. Around the walls, murals unfold in patient scenes. Forest monks beneath trees, quiet rivers and small villages, moments from old stories flowing into one another with the certainty of seasons. The colours are careful and enduring: lacquer red, malachite green, fine gold, soft blue. In each, a brush made room for breath. Near the entrance, low tables hold small bowls. Sticks of incense rest beside them, and a jar of water holds a few stems of jasmine. The petals are thick and waxen, perfect as a thought you cannot forget. You sit for a moment on the polished wood and let the room shape your breath. Each inhale is a gentle widening. Each exhale is a patient setting down. Outside, the day gathers itself. Inside, time is a room with wide walls. You step back into the courtyard. Under a long colonnade, rows of bells hang at varying heights. A soft breeze moves through and leaves a thin music in its wake. The tones seem to arrive from the air rather than from metal. You watch the light travel across the floor. It finds the grains in the wood and brings out their sweetness. It rests in the shadows and keeps them tender. To one side, a small open pavilion shelters a simple image and a low platform. On the platform, saffron cloth has been folded into precise squares. The colour carries the warmth of the sun and the calm of shade. You turn and find a quiet corner where the Bodhi tree lifts its patient leaves. At your feet, hearts of shadow repeat the outline of hearts of leaf. The earth holds both with ease. Along a side path you come upon a small library. Open shutters show rows of Palmyra leaf scriptures, black text on pale pages wrapped in cloth. The room holds a gentle scent of paper and quiet purpose. From the far wall, you notice a few saffron robes drying on a line, moving lightly like flags of slow time. The weave is plain and disciplined, the colour steady and luminous. You're aware of time moving in long, soft lines here. It touches things and then rests. You move toward the river-facing side of the temple grounds. A wooden gate opens onto a short dock. The planks are dark with age and smooth with use. The river moves past in its easy jade tone. In this light, the temple's white walls hold a gentle glow. The gold carries a warm hush. The river keeps the colour and returns it. You let this transition be a breath. Geography into culture, water into prayer, sunlight into gold. On another morning within this same calm, the monks will walk for alms. You imagine the line of saffron moving through quiet streets. You are not in the street. You're in the idea of it. Pre-dawn air, rice steamed and ready, a path known by the soles of many feet. Monks step barefoot on cool ground. Their bowls are black and round, held at the forearms like small moons. Saffron cloth folds once around the shoulders and falls in long planes of colour. The fabric holds the dawn and looks like a piece of it. The steps are measured. Faces are gentle and unlined by urgency. Breath and pace agree with one another. A few townspeople stand by their doors. They offer rice, fruit, and kindness. A small gesture returns, a blessing given with words paired to essence. The exchange has no noise inside it, only intention. Later, back within the temple grounds, robes will be washed by hand and hung. The courtyard will be swept in even arcs that leave the dust in neat, quiet patterns. Young novices will read under a sheltered roof. The script will move across the page like a river. A teacher will adjust a fold of cloth with 2 fingers and a smile that goes only as far as it needs to. You are with the life, not the schedule. A bell will call, and the body will know how to answer. A low chant will begin, and then become a room in which thought can walk slowly. You feel how discipline and ease have made a home together here. Their house is plain and perfect. You return to the main hall once more, and then, as gently as you came, you leave the temple and follow a shaded lane. The lane holds small houses with covered verandas. Pots of orchids cling to beams. Their roots hold the space beneath them the way hands hold a cup. You pass a small spirit house raised on a slender pillar near a gate. It is painted in white and gold. On its step rests a fresh offering, a small garland, a tiny bowl of water, a piece of fruit. The garland's loop is neat and full. The tail is a braid of green and gold. The scent that rises from it is soft and rounded. You continue along the lane until it opens into a courtyard where silk is made. This place is shaded and warm, open to air and light at the sides. On a long table, mulberry leaves lie in a cool heap, fresh and easy. The leaves shine with a dull lustre, like satin in the shade. You're within a house of patient skill. A tray of golden cocoons rests nearby, small, oval, and almost weightless. Their colour carries the warmth of late afternoon, even in morning. A woman sits before a steaming pot where several cocoons have been placed. She lifts a slender twig. The finest threads gather and find it, and she begins to reel. The filaments join into one bright line, thin as breath and strong as a promise. They wrap onto a spindle in orderly layers, a soft cylinder of future cloth. The rhythm is steady and kind. Hand, twig, thread. Hand, twig, thread. The movement becomes a thought that writes itself. Another woman tends the skeins stretched between pegs. She turns them and ties them at measured intervals. Silk holds the pattern of her hands. Dye pots rest along a low bench. The colours are grounded in the natural world. Indigo like evening river, turmeric like soft sun, sappanwood like rose at the edge of day, like a tender red, tamarind a quiet brown, young mango a yellow you can taste. She lowers a skein into an indigo vat that looks like a piece of night folded into a bowl. The silk darkens and then learns its new colour as it meets air. Threads gleam as if lit from within. Indigo remembers water and sky and keeps both. Another skein sinks into a pot richer than gold and rises with a saffron tone that belongs to robes and dawn. It carries warmth even as it drips cool. At the far end of the courtyard, a loom waits with its warp stretched long and true. The threads lie in parallel like well-tended rice rows. You settle near to watch. Bare feet find the treadles with certainty. A shuttle holds the weft, a slender canoe carrying colour. The weaver holds it in one hand and sends it through the shed, steady and sure. Her other hand tightens the beater. The weft settles. The cloth collects itself in a new inch. A pattern grows within the warp. Diamonds like rice grains. A row of small naga. A field of stars that are not stars but the memory of old designs. The mind in the cloth is visible. When she weaves mudme, ikat, the warp bears bands that were tied and dyed before they were placed on the loom. As she sends the shuttle, the pattern arrives like something remembered. Soft-edged, precise, kind. The silk shimmers with the slightest motion of the light. It is not a loud shimmer. It is the quiet, complex sheen of a many-sided fibre meeting many kinds of day. Another weaver works kit, supplementary weft. As she sends the shuttle, her finger lifts an extra thread and nests it along with the weft. A small raised shape appears, almost a whisper, a relief you can read by fingertip. Colours sit beside one another like syllables that make a word. Indigo with gold, rose with leaf green, saffron with a tender violet that belongs to the underside of certain leaves at dusk. Beside the loom, a boy twists two strands together into one stronger thread. Twist and lay, twist and lay. The line grows evenly, a quiet rope across his palms. He smiles without intending to. The work smiles back. Around the courtyard, lengths of finished cloth hang. In a moving air, they wake and settle, wake and settle. One length looks like a river. Another holds a garden. Another reads like a long line of saffron walking toward dawn. You're inside the miracle of patience. No part of it is rushed. Each motion leaves a small, permanent kindness in the cloth. You follow the side of the weaving house and step into a smaller room where someone is preparing strips of pandan leaf for a different craft. The leaves smell faintly of green rice and warmth. Beyond this, another open room holds a low table covered with flowers and needles. You're entering the art of Phang Nga Bay. The table is a field of scent and colour. Jasmine buds, compact, white, with thick petals still gathering themselves, are heaped like soft snow. Marigold petals brighten a tray with captured sunlight. Rose petals hold deeper shades, pink that remembers morning, red that leans toward fruit. Crowned flowers dock rack, bloom as small stars, pale and firm. A bowl of orchids sits nearby in purple and white, their forms tender and assured. A woman dips a needle into a small dish of coconut oil. The point gleams and will find its work with ease. Her fingers are clean, steady, and sure. You sit at the edge and watch the practice of joining. She takes one jasmine bud from the pile and tests its firmness lightly. The bud has the weight of a pearl. She pierces it from the thick base and slides it onto white string. The bud sits close to the next. Another follows. The line grows fragrant and even. The scent rises with each new bud, round, creamy, precise. It feels like a blessing placed upon the air. When the line has length enough, she curls it into a loop and ties it with a neat knot. The circle holds. She builds the tail, a small braid of pandan leaf cut into delicate strips, folded and tied, then layered with marigold and rose. The tail narrows and then widens like a gentle breath. At its tip, a single orchid rests, clean and cool. Another garland takes a different shape. 2 rings joined by a bridge, with short fringed tails of crownflower and jasmine. The form is simple and complete. Hands move with memory. The work belongs to today and also to many yesterdays. A child sits beside her and counts buds. 10, then 10 more, placed in groups and moved closer. The child learns the scented math without intending to. A small joy settles on the face and does not need to be named. You lift a garland with permission. It weighs almost nothing and somehow more than itself. The jasmine keeps its cool, creamy tone. The marigold keeps the sun. On a small altar at the room's edge, a Buddha image gazes down. Small, dark bronze with a soft sheen from many touchings. In front of it, a dish of water reflects the room and the petals placed upon it. You lay the garland there. It is a quiet ritual, careful and humble. The air around it deepens. Outside, the temple courtyard waits in its wide composure. Silk and flowers and gold and wood, all finding their place in a circle of calm. You step back onto the lane and feel the day pass through you without disturbing your stillness. The town continues around you like an easy tide. You are drawn once more toward the temple's main hall, where cool stone and filtered light hold the middle of the day. A few monks pass by on their way to simple tasks. Their robes move like a small river of saffron, and their feet touch the ground as if greeting an old friend. You feel that greeting in your own step. You return to the Bodhi tree. A wooden bench nearby invites you. You sit and rest your attention on the shapes of the leaves against the sky. Their petioles are long and slender, and the leaves turn slowly to a quiet rhythm only they can feel. A small shrine stands near the tree. White walls, a pointed roof, gold trim. On its steps sit 2 fresh garlands, a cup of water, and a stick of incense that has already given what it had to give. The ash lies like grey silk. You look across the courtyard. The chedi holds the noon sun without glare. The gold is more honey now than flame. Birds settle in a distant tree. Their bodies become part of the leaves. In this place, you are aware of the steadying effect of repetition. Circling the chedi, folding robes, sending a shuttle, threading jasmine. Each act is a hinge on which time turns slowly. You rise and circle the chedi once. A simple walk that requires nothing and gives ease. The base carries small plaques with scenes of the Buddha teaching beneath trees, the river behind him like a quiet sentence. The tiles under your feet hold warmth where they are exposed, and cool where the eaves touch them with shade. The alternating patches feel like a measured song in a scale of temperature. At the far corner, a row of small bronze bells hangs from the shed-y's railing. When the light breeze arrives, a gentle music threads the air and continues on without insistence, as if walking. You pause by a mural just inside a side pavilion. The scene shows a village along a river, fields behind it, a small temple in the near distance, children by water, an elder beneath a tree. The paint keeps a memory of sun. You see your own day reflected there. River and tree, temple and lanes, people moving in ways that hold and carry peace. You leave the pavilion and pass a room where sewing and repair take place. A monk sits with a needle and plain thread and mends a tear. The stitch is humble and precise. The cloth becomes whole and seems to accept the mending as part of its story. You move slowly toward a corner where a small bell tower rises. Its legs are wooden, dark with age. Inside, a single bell waits. When the time is right, it will call people to stillness. For now, its silence is as instructive as its voice. In the shade below, a table holds folded robes, each stack a measured height. A young novice smooths the top cloth with the flat of a hand. The gesture lands with care and stops exactly where it should. You walk back toward the river gate and stand at its edge. The water moves by with a calmness that belongs to both place and practice. A floating flower passes, single, white, with a green heart. It turns once, twice, and continues out of view. You feel yourself turn gently inside and continue too. You return through the gate, along the lane, and past the weaving house. The silk now carries more colour. The indigo is deeper. The saffron is brighter. A length of cloth rests on a bamboo pole, and it holds the day in its fibres. At the garland table, more loops have formed. A pair of hands ties tails with pale green strips. A final orchid is placed, a small, cool star. The offering grows by patient increments. Near the entrance, a low stool displays finished Phang Nga Bay in different forms. A single ring with a short tail for a quick blessing. A double ring joined by a bridge for a doorway. A longer form for a journey. The air above the stall is soft with fragrance. You choose one with a simple loop and a small tail of marigold. It sits lightly in your hands. The jasmine settles your breath the moment you lift it. You carry it back to the temple grounds, your steps slow without effort. In the main hall, the light rests on polished floors and cushions in an orderly row. You pause at a respectful distance and place the garland among the others at the altar. The jasmine belongs beside jasmine. Your garland belongs beside garlands. The idea of offering completes itself. You sit. Your attention is wide and simple. The Buddha's face is untroubled, and that calm travels outward into the room's corners and then back again. No one asks you for anything. The place only offers. You receive exactly what you can hold. After a while, you rise and step back into the courtyard. You circle the shed once more, slower than before, and you stand beneath the eaves where the wind chimes hang. A small stirring of air lifts them and settles them. The gentle chiming threads through gold and white and wood, and is accepted by all. You walk toward the Bodhi tree once more and rest under its crown. Its heart-shaped leaves touch and part in a rhythm of agreement. You notice the sweep of the grounds, the geometry that holds space and free movement in the same hand. The temple is not a single building, but a constellation held together by intention. Pathways connect thresholds to doors, courtyards to halls, bells to chidi, living quarters to kitchens. The routes are simple and considerate. Nothing is lost if you take another way. You leave through the gate by which you came, and the town receives you gently. The day outside is the same as the day within. You understand now that they were never different. You walk a slow rectangle through streets that are half shade, half sun. Saffron cloth flashes in a doorway and then rests. A woman carries a bowl of white rice under a light cloth. A child carries a small broom of palm fibres that sweeps, because sweeping is pleasing. You return to the river and follow it back toward the coast. The water widens, the light expands, a few boats drift in calm posture. The day's pace never surpasses breath. In your mind, the temple remains within reach, gold continuing to remember light, silk continuing to gather colour, garlands continuing to rise like small moons and find their circles. You are the thread that passes between them. At the river's mouth, mangroves show their measured roots again. You linger among them and feel how culture and trees keep the same patience, breathing out, breathing in, exchanging respectfully with what surrounds them. Back at the beach, the turquoise extends with quiet confidence. The sand receives your steps as if it knows you. The sky opens without effort. You sit at the edge of the shore and let a slow thought settle. The quiet that flows through places is joined by the quiet that grows in people. Stone and cloth, leaf and bell, water and hand. Each becomes more itself when met with gentleness. You think of the golden chedi holding flame-like light at its peak. You think of the monk's measured steps and simple robes drying in the air. You think of silk shimmering in colours the day understands. You think of jasmine threaded into loops and laid down with intention. Your breath follows a long line through it all, and nothing asks to be hurried. The wind moves over the sea with a kindness you feel in your shoulders. The small waves answer with a rhythm that was present at the temple, and at the loom, and at the garland table too. You rest within the arc of the coast and within the arc of the culture, both curved toward ease. Far inland, in places you have not walked yet, other temples rise. Other looms collect colour. Other hands arrange jasmine. They do so in this same language of patience. You close your eyes and see the rooms again, gold and white, red and green, the soft sheen of bronze, the patient timber, the cloud of saffron, the sheen of silk, the pale ring of jasmine with its marigold tail, the way all of it belongs. When you open your eyes, nothing has moved away. Everything remains lightly, as if placed on the surface of the day with a steady hand. You stand and walk the shore again, carrying a quiet that does not press. The sea rests and moves, the land receives and gives. The culture folds into both and opens again, like a flower that does not need to decide whether to bloom. You are within it, and it is within you. You continue at the pace of breath. In your mind, the temple remains within reach, gold continuing to remember light, silk continuing to gather colour, garlands continuing to rise like small moons and find their circles. You are the thread that passes between them. At the river's mouth, mangroves show their measured roots again. You linger among them and feel how culture and trees keep the same patience, breathing out, breathing in, exchanging respectfully with what surrounds them. Back at the beach, the turquoise extends with quiet confidence. The sand receives your steps as if it knows you. The sky opens without effort. You sit at the edge of the shore and let a slow thought settle. The quiet that flows through places is joined by the quiet that grows in people. Stone and cloth, leaf and bell, water and hand, each becomes more itself when met with gentleness. You think of the golden chedi holding flame-like light at its peak. You think of the monk's measured steps and simple robes drying in the air. You think of silk shimmering in colours the day understands. You think of jasmine threaded into loops and laid down with intention. Your breath follows a long line through it all, and nothing asks to be hurried. The wind moves over the sea with a kindness you feel in your shoulders. The small waves answer with a rhythm that was present at the temple, and at the loom, and at the garland table too. You rest within the arc of the coast and within the arc of the culture, both curved toward ease. Far inland, in places you have not walked yet, other temples rise. Other looms collect colour. Other hands arrange jasmine. They do so in this same language of patience. You close your eyes and see the rooms again, gold and white, red and green, the soft sheen of bronze, the patient timber, the cloud of saffron, the sheen of silk, the pale ring of jasmine with its marigold tail, the way all of it belongs. When you open your eyes, nothing has moved away. Everything remains lightly, as if placed on the surface of the day with a steady hand. You stand and walk the shore again, carrying a quiet that does not press. The sea rests and moves. The land receives and gives. The culture folds into both and opens again, like a flower that does not need to decide whether to bloom. You're within it, and it is within you. You continue at the pace of breath. The farmer wears a wide-brimmed hat and a long-sleeved shirt faded to comfort. Trousers are rolled to the knee. The skin below is the colour of the earth and the sun together. Seedlings gather at one end of the paddy, bundles of green and the colour of fresh tea. The roots are pale and tidy. The shoots quiver in the breeze like the thought of wind. The farmer steps into the water, and the mud receives the foot with a slow, round acceptance. Each step settles a small cloud and leaves a soft circle behind that smooths itself to memory. The method is quiet and exact. The farmer holds a clutch of seedlings in one hand, and with the other lowers two, then two, then two, along a line imagined or guided by a string. Each pair finds its distance and stands with modest dignity. Frogs move out of the way as if they had known you were coming. A dragonfly holds a moment on a rope of grass, and then redraws its line elsewhere. The farmer's pace is unbroken. The body bends and rises, with a rhythm learned from growing. The hands work with thought and also beyond it. Water collects in the curve of the wrist, then falls away in small bright beads. The sun finds the droplets and makes brief stars. Then the stars are gone and the water continues. The air holds warmth and humidity in equal measure. Your skin belongs to it. Your breath chooses a longer path. In the next paddy, shallow water holds a new planting. In the one beyond that, the rice has grown to half a person's height, a deepening green that leans the field towards shadow. In the far paddy, rice begins to head, the colour turning to a quiet gold that doesn't shout but announces itself plainly. A narrow footpath runs along the bund. The soil is firm and springy where it is kept. A woven basket sits on the embankment holding lunch in small portions wrapped in leaf. Rice, greens, a bit of salt fish, a wedge of mango. Green, crisp, a friendly sour. The farmer pauses beneath a tamarind tree at the edge of the field. Leaves fold in the sun, a trick of protection. The tree makes a narrow shade that is worth more than it looks. A sip of water, a spoon of rice. A glance at the sky for timing, not as question but as acknowledgement. Work and weather have agreed on how to spend the day. A buffalo stands in the far shallows, tail moving slowly like a metronome that counts without insisting. It lowers its head and lifts it. The motion seems to keep the hour. You walk the bund to the next field. A pair of farmers there tend a pump and guide water from the canal to the paddy. The stream pours in and spreads. The level rises by one finger, then another. A nod between them marks a small success, the kind that binds days together. At the field's edge, 3 scarecrows display old shirts and hats. They stand with a rough grace that makes them seem part of the family of crops and tools. A child walks along the bund carrying a small basket of seedlings. Steps are careful and proud. The child stands tall in the way small people do when they are doing something important. You linger while the farmer returns to the line. Seedling, set, seedling, set. The field accepts a future in small, consistent increments. If you listen inward, you can feel the body of the land speaking. It says yes in green syllables that require your only attention. You turn back toward the river in the soft midday. A path returns you to the waterside, where houses rise on high posts and porches look outward with kind faces. This is a riverside village with time enough in it. Laundry is pinned along a bamboo pole, white shirts, a saffron cloth, a towel the blue of deep water. The quiet of clean fabric in air is its own sort of rest. A woman sits on a low stool and slices green papaya into fine threads, each piece as even as a breath. The pile grows and keeps cool by its own crispness. A pair of long-tailed boats glide along the river's middle. Their noses are painted with quiet stripes. A garland hangs at each bow, fresh jasmine and marigold in a grace you can smell from the shore. In this hour, the river carries boats like a mother carries a child, close and secure, with no one needing to speak. A fisherman mends a net in the shallow shade beneath his house. The mesh lies in his lap like a memory of water. A knot is tightened. Another is tied. A line is checked and laid aside. He works to the length of patience and then stops with a satisfaction that is gentle rather than loud. A girl steps along a plank bridge with a small tray. On it rest 2 glasses of iced coffee, sweetened with condensed milk, and a glass of lime iced with salt at the rim. She crosses without looking down and does not spill. She pauses to watch a boat pass, then continues. The day nods back. A dog dozes, chin on paws, in a slice of shade. A cat makes itself very long on a sun-warmed step and later chooses a shadow. The animals are experts at sabai-sabai. You leave the temples calm and step into the day. Gold and white remain behind you like a soft echo. Ahead, the river widens. The town breathes in long, even lines. You follow a shaded lane where orchids hang from eaves, their roots holding air with easy confidence. A small dog sleeps in a square of sun and does not wake. The road bends toward water. Palms lift their fronds above wooden walkways. Houses lean gently toward the canal. You are arriving at the floating market before the morning is fully opened. Boats rest along the banks, moored by simple ropes. The canal is a long mirror, green and gold with the early light. A woman in a straw hat loosens her line and pushes off. The paddle meets the water, and the boat glides, smooth and certain. Her boat's bow holds a low mound of bananas, a neat stack of pomelos, a basket of fresh herbs. Another boat follows with greens bundled in banana leaves, morning glory, pak choy, tender shoots tied with a fig strip. On the stern, a small stove waits to warm rice porridge when the time is right. A third boat carries lotus buds and incense. The blossoms are pale and firm, their petals folded, their stems long and clean. The scent that comes from them is cool and clear. You take a seat on a step at the water's edge and watch boats arrive in 2s and 3s. Each one holds a small, complete world, and each world is calm. Hats shade faces, eyes lift and greet. A quiet nod is a conversation. The day begins without hurry. The woman with bananas steers toward a family on a wooden porch. The exchange is simple. Fruit passed hand to hand, a few coins lifted in a small basket, a short bow, a smile that rises and fades like the light on water. Another boat nudges the steps and offers herbs and a paper bundle of chilies. The buyer chooses with care. A fragrant leaf is added as a gift. Kindness is part of the price. A pot on a low stove sends up a mild, savoury warmth. The porridge is ladled into a bowl and set in a wide spoon for the porcher to lift. A single slice of garlic floats at the edge. A sprig of coriander rests like a green thought. Gentle paddling keeps the boats from touching. A pole steadies a bow. Hands move the way water moves, measured, precise, without force. You notice the textures. Polished wood worn smooth by palms, woven trays of rattan, the matte green of banana leaves, the soft gleam of enamel bowls stacked by size. On one boat, a woman offers sweets. Sticky rice is pressed into small shapes and wrapped in palm leaf. Coconut shavings sit like light snow in a shallow dish. She places a portion into a square of paper and folds it in 3 quick motions that feel like gratitude. A young boy sits at the stern holding a rope. He counts out cabbages to a neighbour. He laughs once and then remembers where he is. His quiet returns easily. Across the canal, someone pours tea from a chipped kettle into small, heat-thin cups. A sprig of pandan rests in the pot. The tea is soft and green on the air. A cup is passed to a boat as if wind had carried it. You look down into the canal. Reflections of fruit and hats and hands drift over the surface like drawings that move. The water accepts them all and keeps none. A temple spire rises beyond the roofs and holds a piece of sky. Its gold does not compete. It keeps the light as if to remind you of where the day began. The market's rhythm continues. Paddle, offer, receive, drift, smile, bow. A small, quiet industry that leaves the water undisturbed. An elderly man pulls by with a basket of river vegetables, water mimosa, fern tips, a few bright limes. He ties up, wipes his hands on a cloth folded into a snug square, and waits without expectation. Soon he's lighter by half. A flower seller arranges lotus buds into neat bundles with threads of grass. She offers one to a woman on the steps. The woman accepts and touches bud to forehead. A simple blessing shared with water and day. A pair of students in uniforms kneel on a porch and wait while their mother selects snacks for later. Their shoes are lined up in a row. A small bowl of jasmine rests beside them and makes the morning smell like a promise kept. You feel how the market holds the hours without ever holding anyone. It is a place where arrivals and departures take the same care. As the sun climbs, the light stretches along the water. Shadows shorten. Boats leave with less to carry. The canal remains soft. You stand and walk along a narrow path that follows the canal out into the fields. Houses give way to broad sky. Palms thin into single lines. The air is warm and generous. Rice paddies open in calm grids. Their embankments are soft-walled, their water a mirror of sky and leaf. Egrets stand like commas, punctuating long green sentences. You're with a farmer in the gentle middle of the morning. On a porch, a man carves a shallow spoon from a length of softwood. The blade of the knife lifts thin curls that fall like pale fish scales. The spoon's bowl appears without hurry. He lowers it into a pot of water and smiles at the fit of it. Two boys float leaf boats from the steps and watch them drift. One leaf runs ahead, the other lags. Both arrive at the bend and disappear with perfect timing. A woman kneels at a wooden basin and rinses jasmine. Flowers float and then settle into a bowl. Their scent on the water is a soft ribbon that ties the home to the day. You wander to the village shrine. It stands at the head of a pier, a small spirit house perched on a smooth pillar. The roof is petty and precise, its trim touched with gold. You stand at a thoughtful distance and watch people come and go. A vendor from the floating market sets down a fresh garland. She touches her forehead and heart and throat. The garland's loop is neat and calm. Its tail is green and gold and bright. A young man brings a small bottle of sweet red drink and a straw. He places it with care beside a cup of clear water. He bows 3 times softly. His face lifts and settles as if the air had answered. A mother arrives with her daughter. 2 incense sticks have already offered their scent. Their ash rests like grey silk. The mother places a small triangle of banana leaf folded around sticky rice. The child places a single crown flower and keeps her hands together for one full breath. A neighbour sets a tiny dish of salt, another of sugar, one of rice. Together they make a small square of completeness. A candle half used waits for evening to bring it back to work. The spirit house is white and gold and canvas shaded. The offerings make a steady rhythm around its steps. Fruit, flower, drink, light. The rhythm is felt before it is seen. Beyond the shrine, the river widens. A long-tail boat moves out from under a palm's reflection. The prow cuts the water and writes a thin V that closes slowly behind it. The boatman wears a hat pulled low, a shirt the colour of the afternoon sky, a towel around the neck, a hand on the tiller like a hand on a friend's shoulder. He passes a bamboo fish trap set near the bank. The trap is a woven cylinder, patient by design. He glances at it and lets it be. Everything can take its time. Farther along, a woman buys rice from a boat that carries sacks stacked like small hills. The seller's hands are powdered with flour. They move with correctness and care, not as rule but as second nature. A child waves from a porch. The boatman lifts his fingers from the tiller and opens his palm. The gesture is good news. You sit on a step and let the afternoon fold and open around you. Broom bristles whisper along a porch. A bucket is filled and then set down. Mango leaves shadow the floor and then move on. The details are small, and they hold the shape of a day. In a nearby yard, a woman scrapes a coconut. The half-shell rests on a metal crown. The grated flesh falls into a bowl, white as a cloud. She presses it in cloth and the milk runs into a cup. She smiles without needing a reason. The milk will go into a curry that knows how to be gentle. Downriver, a man polishes the prow of his boat with a rag. He starts at one point and circles back to where he began. The wood glows as if it remembers being a tree and being sun. On a table, green mango is sliced and laid in a neat fan. Beside it, a small dish of crushed chilies, a pinch of salt, a drizzle of palm sugar. Sweet, sour, salt, heat. Each is present without competing. Each knows its place. Evening leans forward by a fraction. In this part of the world, light changes its colour by degrees rather than by demands. You walk back through the village and notice a scooter parked beneath a house. A helmet sits on the seat like a sleeping bird. A basket is tucked near the ramp, ready to carry vegetables or a child's shoes. Everything is useful, everything at ease. At the edge of an orchard, a man ties back a branch heavy with longan. The fruits hang in small planets. He loops string around them, and the tree seems to sigh. The sigh is contentment. You cross a narrow bridge and find yourself back at another spirit house, this one painted with blue trim. A small dish of curry rests beside flowers. The curry's scent is like a story told under a fan, soft, long, and kind. You do not take it, but you hear it. Along the river's bend, a group of women sit together on a low dais, weaving palm leaves into simple trays. Their hands move while their voices fall and rise, quiet and steady. The trays stack by height and bear the pattern of the day in their weave. The long-tail boats continue to pass in single file, each one carrying something small and necessary. A basket of morning glory, a roll of net, a bundle of rope, a jar of tiny fish. The river lifts them and sets them down and lifts them again. The sun drops by a patient measure. The water reflects orange and a little rose. The colour sits on the surface and then travels outward like generosity. In the rice fields, the late work pauses. Seedlings planted in morning stand straighter now, each with a small claim on the day. A lone egret chooses a new position. Its slow steps echo the farmer's steps from earlier. The echo belongs here. A child runs along the bund, holding a kite made of plastic scraps and bamboo. The kite lifts and floats. The string vibrates in the hand. The child's breath slows to match the flight. The kite comes down and rises again. It learns the wind's soft grammar. Back in the market district, boats are tied, stoves washed, fruit baskets covered with cloth to keep their sweetness. A woman counts change and wraps it tightly. Her hands rest in her lap when she is done. She looks at the canal and says nothing. That is the right number of words. On a porch, a grandfather presses lumps of sticky rice into small balls and hands them to a toddler with important hands. The child presses them into new shapes and returns them. The exchange is perfect. Evening lights appear one by one. A lantern is set on a rope. A bulb glows under a roof. A candle is lit at the spirit house where the garland still holds its cool scent. You walk toward the water for a last look at the day. The river's surface has become a long, slow ribbon of bronze. The boats move like quiet thought across it. A fisherman eases a trap into place near the bank. He knows where the current will speak gently. He sets the trap and lifts the rope across a peg. He will return in the morning or the afternoon or when the day tells him. He's not in a hurry and the river does not mind. A vendor stacks woven hats in nested pairs, the smallest inside the largest, until the stack is a single pleasing shape. She touches the top, then leaves it. The hats hold their own balance. At a corner shrine, a young couple bring 2 marigold garlands and a small bunch of lotus. They lay them down and press their palms together. Their faces are as untroubled as water at dawn. The village stretches lightly after the day. Mosquito coils are lit on verandas. A basin is carried to the steps. A child washes her feet with a cup. You think of the words sabai sabai, the way they sit on the tongue like a smile. Comfortable, easy. Not in a way that ignores work, but in a way that arranges it so the heart can keep its pace. The day has been a long, slow page. You have read it line by line, and the lines have read you back. You move toward a raised walkway to make your way homeward. The boards hold the soft heat of late light. Your palm rests on a worn rail that feels like an old friend's shoulder. A boat crosses the last piece of open water before night. The prow is decorated with a simple ribbon. It rises and falls by inches, steady as breath. From a kitchen near the bank, frying pans are washed and set to dry. A bundle of lemongrass is tied with string and hung along a beam. Rice steams in its bamboo basket with a patience that belongs to steam and grain. At the edge of the canal, a boy squats and releases a paper boat made from his schoolbook cover. He watches it travel until it is just a shape, and then he looks up at the first stars. He stays there a long moment and then stands. The boat has already turned a corner toward the next day. You step into a small shop to buy water. Inside, the air is cool and the shelves hold the town in miniature. Soy sauce, fish sauce, palm sugar, candles, laundry powder, a rack of mosquito coils, a jar of candy checked out piece by piece, a notebook with a pencil resting across it. You pay with a nod. The shopkeeper returns your nod with one that says, "Be well," and also "See you tomorrow." You feel both in the same place in your chest. Back outside, the air has deepened by one softness. The river holds its bronze tone and prepares for night's cool. Palms whisper to themselves and stand still. You find a place on steps near the spirit house. A new candle has been placed, and its small flame is straight. The garland's jasmine is still round and sweet. The marigold's yellow still sun-like in the blue hour. You think of the morning market now resting. You think of the rice fields, green in the dark for those who have known them long. You think of the village along the river, boards warm with the day, stone cool with evening. You draw one long breath and let it go. The day goes with it and stays. That is how days here behave. In the distance, someone closes a wooden door with care. It finds its frame as if it were being cupped. A small bell on a bike rings once in someone else's life and then is quiet again. The world stays balanced. You rise and take the slow path along the water one last time. The current carries old light and makes it new. Boats plan tomorrow without speaking. Houses keep their posts and their kindness. The spirit house holds its gifts in an even arrangement. Flour, drink, rice, flame. You bow without moving your head. The bow happens inside. You walk into the blue of evening with the river below and the sky above, both calm, both constant. The rhythm of life gathers behind you and continues ahead of you. It has no edge. You're within it, and it is within you. In your mind, the paddling of boats at dawn opens the next morning. Seedlings stand waiting to be set. Longtail boats glide along the seams of the village. A small garland finds its place on a step. The words "Sabai Sabai" hover over it all and become the air. You continue at the pace of breath. A quiet corner at twilight. You stay with the river until the light turns soft and low. The day's errands have folded themselves away. Boats rest against posts. Doorways glow like memory. You walk along the bank with an easy step, letting the hours slide behind you without ripple. The path returns you toward the sea. The air grows more open, more salted, less busy with speech. Palms lean toward a wider horizon. The last small chores of the village wind down and become a quiet kind of time. You pass a spirit house and notice a new garland laid with gentle hands. Jasmine keeps its rounded sweetness into evening. A long-tail boat glides past and becomes a shape against the light. Its ribbon at the prow lifts once, then settles. You follow the curve of the shore until houses step back and dunes appear. The coast widens into a slow invitation. You're arriving at a quiet, deserted beach. The sand is pale and cool near the waterline, warmer higher up where the sun lingers a little longer. The Andaman Sea lies ahead, a broad, breathing plain. Its surface is brushed with the last brightness of day. You stand at the edge and feel the sand receive you. Your weight leaves a thoughtful mark. The tide smooths it without hurry. The top layer of sand is warm as a held cup. A finger's depth below, it turns silk cool. When you draw your toes through it, the grains flow like fine sugar and settle back to their simple plan. A faint, clean salt drifts on the air with a suggestion of sun-dried driftwood. Somewhere, a distant palm breathes resin into the breeze. The smell is quiet and good. The sun is low, its path a gentle slope toward the horizon. Gold gathers along the water in a long, slow band. A karst in the far distance is only a deep silhouette now, a memory of form against the wide colour. The wet sand near the tide's edge is a mirror. It holds the sky's image and lets waves right through it, each line appearing and then softening to shine. You sit on the sand and let the world become a few simple elements: sea, sky, light, breath. Your palms collect a little warmth from the day still stored in the grains. Your spine settles into ease. The water moves in small, even gestures. Each one arrives, greets the shore, and returns, as if remembering something kindly. The sky holds a spread of gold near the sun, deepening to apricot, then to a tender rose. Farther still, a first hint of lilac waits patiently. Thin clouds stretch like silk and catch every shade. They blush, then grow calm, then yield again to gold. A thread of breeze passes over your arms and rests. The skin answers with a quiet, even cool. Nothing disturbs, everything unknots. You watch the sun lower a finger's width. The path of light upon the water becomes a bright, living road. Your breath follows it without deciding to. Inhale with the brightness coming toward you. Exhale with the brightness flowing outward. On the sand beside you, a small shell holds a private shine, then lets it go. Even the smallest things join the light's quiet work. The air is warm, but the warmth has softened. It is the kind that rests on the skin and asks for nothing. A faint sweetness lifts from somewhere inland, a note of frangipani or night-blooming jasmine preparing for its hour. The sea turns its blues toward gentler tones. Turquoise leans to teal. Teal leans to a clear, thoughtful grey-green. As the sun dips lower, the golden band lengthens and thins. It becomes many small glimmers that travel and dissolve. You notice how the sky carries two moods at once: glow toward the west, calm toward the east. Your mind holds both without effort. Shorebirds move in twos along the tide line. Their legs are fine, their steps precise, their company unassuming. You lie back for a moment and let your gaze rest upward. The first pale star hesitates and appears above the faintest violet. The purple overhead deepens by degrees, iris to hyacinth, then to a cooler plum. The last pink keeps a narrow margin, tender and sure. You sit again and draw your knees close. The day is a warm blanket turning itself down. When the sun touches the horizon, the sea seems to raise itself in welcome. Nothing rushes. The meeting is gentle. A brief, rich amber blooms along the seam of the world. Then it opens into a slow gradient, gold choosing purple, purple receiving gold. The water takes everything the sky offers and answers in shimmer. Gold breaks into coins. Purple deepens into velvet. You feel the long line of the day move through you and become ease. What was busy loosens. What was held opens. When the sun slips below, the afterlight remains. It spreads like kindness over every surface. A quiet violet arrives from the higher sky and comes down to sit with the sea. The shore accepts this change the way your body accepts rest. The deserted beach holds you as if it were made for one person. Tonight, that person is you. You stand and walk at a pace that barely counts as walking. Your steps draw punctuation marks that fade into smoothness. The tide lays down a thin, continuous lace, delicate and temporary and enough. Between waves, the sea rests in a wide inhale. You feel your own body answer, steady and low. The rhythm is shared. You listen to the evening as it arranges itself. Far inland, daybirds settle. Near your feet, small lives continue in soft patterns. The air itself feels occupied by gentleness. You turn from the horizon and follow a narrow path into the green. Leaves arch overhead in a light tunnel. The sandy soil gives way to springy earth, with a faint sweetness of leaf and wood. Fireflies begin to stitch brief lights between stems. Their threads appear and disappear without asking for notice. You come to a simple bungalow set where the forest meets the coast. It stands on short posts. The roof is thatch, the walls wood. A small veranda faces the trees with a view through to the sea's silver band. You step onto the boards. They hold the day's warmth the way a hand holds another. It comes as comfort, not insistence. The wood smells faintly of sun and salt and an old, patient resin. Grain lines curve under your palms, soft as a familiar path. A low chair waits, woven seat soft and supportive. A clay cup sits on the rail, still holding the memory of tea. You sit and let the veranda hold you. The room behind you keeps its cool and its quiet. The jungle in front of you opens its evening. Insects begin their chorus, not loud, not eager, just joined. A steady, intricate weaving of presence. Frogs answer from the low places where water lingers. Their voices are round and patient, small beads on a long string. From higher leaves, a softer ticking arrives, light and regular. Lower down, a slow pulse holds the ground. The layers settle into a single calm. Palms whisper to themselves and then fall still. Leaves exchange slow gestures only they notice. Somewhere nearby, a small stream moves under the cover of leaves. You do not need to see it. The cool at the edges of the air tells you it is there. A gecko settles somewhere up among the rafters, keeping its own counsel. You feel the calm of things that know the night and how to live within it. A bamboo windscreen leans against the rail, lending its pale green to the edge of your view. It makes the world a little softer without hiding it. Night-blooming flowers release their perfume in small, kind pulses. Jasmine creamy and round, ylang-ylang warm and honey-soft, frangipani a whisper of vanilla. The scents overlap and unbraid, unhurried as breath. Your body loosens in places that forgot how to loosen. Fingers, jaw, the space behind your eyes, the space behind your day. The sky above the trees sends down a deeper purple now, dusted with a few more stars. The sea answers with a faint moving silver. From here, the deserted beach is a line of pale tone you can hold in your mind as a long, even breath. A small moth passes the veranda and becomes a shadow on the wall, then a thought you no longer need to name. Your cup warms your palm again after you lift it and make a simple tea. The steam rises and disappears. Warmth enters, and the space inside you acknowledges it. You think of the day's slow pages, the market at dawn, the river's green, the quiet fields, the village steps, the temple's gold, the silk's sheen, the jasmine loop. They find their places within like books laid carefully on a shelf. No part competes. Each scene keeps its colour and becomes gentler. A lantern sits on a low table near the veranda's corner. Its paper is pale cream, folded into a clean cylinder, the rim stiffened by a bamboo ring. It waits for the night. You carry it in both hands and step onto the path again. The way to the beach is a soft corridor of shadows. Fireflies return as small fellow travellers for a while and then choose their own directions. The sand receives your feet with a cooler welcome now. The tide has moved a little higher. The line between water and land is simple. The Andaman Sea holds the afterglow like a secret repeating itself. The horizon is a gentle divide, purple deepening to midnight, gold staying at the edges where memory likes to sit. You find a clear space and turn toward the sky. The lantern rests, folded, empty and full of potential. A small square of fuel is fixed at the base, white, precise. A long match waits beside it, slender and certain. The paper under your fingers is thin and strong, a soft texture like rice and cloud together. The bamboo ring has the smoothness of time and hands. You hold the lantern by its bamboo rim, and you hold your breath for a moment to mark this place. The night breathes for you. You light the small fuel. The flame finds its shape and quiets. Heat begins to gather in the lantern's paper belly. You wait and let the air inside warm and learn to rise. Patience is the way through every gentle thing here. The lantern swells very slightly. The paper lifts from your palms with a soft insistence. You keep one hand upon the rim, the other beneath, steady and kind. Warmth brushes your fingers and speaks in a single phrase. Not yet. Now. When the lift is ready, you ease your fingers away, one at a time. The lantern remains near you for a heartbeat, suspended between your departure and the sky's welcome. Then it rises, not fast, not slow, just exactly as much as needed. It climbs above your reach and becomes a bright leaf added to the night's crown. Its path is simple and true. Up through the violet into deep blue. Up through the blue into the first black. Up until it is a small star among stars. For a moment, the lantern's warm light swims on the face of the water below, a brief ember mirrored on silk. Then the sea keeps its steady silver and lets the image go. You follow the lantern with your eyes until you can no longer say which one is yours, and that is the point. The lantern has become part of what holds everything else. You return your gaze to the sea and see a second light far away. Perhaps another lantern set free by someone you do not know. This is how quiet wishes travel here, alone, together. You close your eyes and feel the sensation of letting go as if it were a physical thing, a knot undone, a thread released. Nothing is lost. Everything finds its height. You breathe once more with the tide, in, out. The muscles of the day answer each breath with a gentle yes. You stand a long minute and let the sky knit itself into its evening fullness. The colour deepens, then stills. Stars gather, not tightly, not widely, just so. You turn and walk back along the line where water has polished sand into a ribbon of silver. Each step lands where it is meant to. At the edge of the green, you pause to notice the fragrances the air carries now. Damp leaf, faint flower, a trace of salt, a hint of sweet smoke far away that is more memory than fact. You return to the bungalow's veranda and sit again where the chair remembers you. The jungle's chorus has found its rhythm. Insects lay down a continuous backdrop of fine, even notes. Frogs add rounded phrases at measured intervals. The space between is part of the song. From time to time, a night breeze explores the edges of the room and leaves it as it was. The curtains lift and fall in a single, easy motion. Palm fronds move once and return to stillness. The world is arranged in layers of resting. The lantern's image remains somewhere behind your eyes, small and warm and safely gone. The room behind you is simple. The bed holds white sheets and a light blanket folded at the foot. A small net hangs, soft and translucent, a simple veil for sleep. A clay bowl in the corner holds cool water and a few jasmine buds. Their scent is slower now, deeper, a companion for the dark. You take a slow drink and place the cup down with care. Every placement tonight belongs to the practice of ease. You slip off your shoes and set them beside one another. When life is gentle, even shoes become a pair of quiet beings. You step inside and the floor is polite underfoot. You leave the door open to the veranda and the veranda open to the night. Air moves through your space like a soft guest. You lie down and draw the sheet lightly across your body. Cloth meets skin and rests. Your bones feel known by the mattress. Your head finds the pillow the way a wave finds the shore. From the bed you can still see a sliver of the sea between trunks. It is a ribbon of silver that keeps a soft promise. Morning will arrive, and it will be gentle too. The chorus continues without needing your witness. It was singing before you came. It will sing after you sleep. Tonight, it sings for you and with you. Palms at the edge of the view hold the sky's new stars between their fingers. The composition is perfect, because it is uncomposed. Your mind steps back from its own door and closes it softly. Thoughts that pushed gently at the frame earlier now arrange themselves in a stack and become light. You remember the market boats gliding in dawn's first light, the rice seedlings set in careful pairs, the village and its river, the spirit house and its offerings. You see the cheddy's gold in late morning, the silk landing on the loom as a field of colour, the jasmine turning toward completion, the lantern rising as the day's final verb. Everything you carry is a kindness. You breathe out and feel the tiny places in your chest give way to comfort. You breathe in and take warm, living night into your lungs. The air is soft with leaf and star. If the sea is speaking, it is in a language you feel more than hear. It says rest, and the word becomes the colour of the sky when gold has met purple, and both agree to deepen. On the wall, a line of woven palm casts a small curved shadow. The shadow is a boat. The boat is a cradle. The cradle is the night. You tuck your hands where they are most content, one under cheek, one on your heart. The body recognizes home and claims it quietly. The world outside keeps its kind movements. Leaves exchange small greetings. The stream does what streams do in their careful ways. The beach holds a shape in moonlight. The lanterns you can no longer see are joining stars you can. You feel the room grow a little larger as your mind grows softer. Sleep moves toward you with bare feet and does not need to be asked. You let the day fold itself closed. You let your breath carry you across a short, sweet distance to the beginning of nothing you have to do. You're in a quiet corner at twilight. The Andaman holds the skies calm. The jungle keeps your room in its soft hands. The lantern you let go is teaching you how to join the sky. You smile, not at anything in particular, but because your body finds the shape by itself when it is safe. You sleep then, in the way waves sleep and wake, in the way leaves sleep and stir, in the way a small light rises and becomes a star. And the night, generous and unbound, keeps you close until morning's first kind breath. The deep night and the drift to sleep. You are in the soft centre of night. The room is simple and airy. The window is open. A gentle breeze moves through. Warm and kind, you lie beneath light linen. The sheets are cool at first. Then they become warm with you. They become part of your quiet. The mosquito net hangs like a pale cloud. It breathes with the room. It rests without asking. You rest with it. Outside, the tropical night holds steady. It is a warm, deep lake of air. It carries no edges, only comfort. The sky is full of stars, brilliant and calm, steady points, easy to trust. They feel close. You are under their care. A gecko calls now and then far away. The call is gentle, spaced. It comes and goes like a thought. On the beach the waves arrive and leave, slowly, evenly. They touch the shore as if greeting a friend. They make the world simple. The night has a warm silence. It is not empty. It is full of kindness. You're safe here. You're warm here. You're held here. Your breath is the softest thing in the room. In, out, like waves. Like the floating of a lantern. In, out. You're lying on your back, or your side. You're already where you need to be. The pillow cradles your head. The sheet rests at your shoulders. The air moves across your forehead. Everything is soft. Everything slows. You let your eyes become heavy. Lids like leaves drifting down. They close. The darkness behind them is velvet blue. It is the sky, close to you. Your forehead smooths. The small muscles let go. The space between your brows becomes quiet. Now your cheeks soften. Your jaw relaxes. Your tongue rests where it is easy. Your mouth loosens into a gentle line. Nothing to hold here. Nothing at all. Your scalp relaxes. Your temples grow soft. The small muscles around your ears unclasp. There is nothing to catch. Only warmth. Only quiet. Breathe in. Breathe out. Slow and slower. Your neck lets go of weight. Your throat is open and easy. The breath moves through like a warm river. It knows the way. Your shoulders lower by a leaf's width, then lower again. They are not trying anymore. They are done for the day. Your arms are supported without effort. Upper arms soft, forearms soft, wrists soft, palms warm, fingers loose and still. Every finger is resting in its own small cradle of air. You feel a lightness move in. It is as if you are floating in a shallow, warm lagoon, held and supported, weightless and safe, in, out. Your breath is a lullaby. Your chest widens gently and returns, a steady rhythm, a friendly tide. Your heart slows and feels warm. It settles into a quiet, sure pattern. It feels like home. Your ribs expand and release. The spaces between them open like the night sky. Then they settle. Everything opens. Everything settles. Your upper back spreads across the mattress. Your spine becomes a line drawn in calm. Your lower back softens into the bed. Any effort leaves. It falls away like a leaf from a tree. Your belly becomes quiet and warm. It rises. It falls, it rises, it falls, with no effort. The breath is doing the work for you. You do not need to help. Now your hips rest, held by the bed, held by the night. Your thighs are heavy and happy. They are tired in the way that feels good. They are done. They are done. Your knees release, your calves soften, your ankles fold into comfort, your feet are warm. The space between each toe is easy and free. You have nowhere to go. You have nothing to do. You're home in this breath. A warm silence fills the room again. It is deeper now. You are deeper now. The breeze flows in, light and steady. It brushes your cheek and leaves. It returns. It leaves. It always returns. From the window, the stars turn toward the sea. They seem to rest on the water. The water carries them and brings them back. Your mind does the same with the day. It carries it. It sets it down. It brings back only what is soft. All edges blur. All lists fade. The memory of the lantern rises. Then it drifts upward and becomes a star among stars. Your thoughts do the same. Up, out, into a soft sky. You feel the warm night at your skin. It is a blanket you do not need to lift. It is already around you. The gecko calls again, somewhere to your left. Then quiet. Then a pause that feels like sleep itself. On the beach, the waves fold toward the sand, one by one, an endless, gentle pattern. The rhythm enters your breath. It is already there, in, out. The room is spacious. It breathes with you. Curtains move by a hand's width, then settle. The net lifts a little, then settles. You lift a little, then settle. All things in agreement. You're in a room with soft linen. Your body understands the message of linen. It says cool, then warm, then perfect. It says rest. Your breath is long and low. Each inhale touches the back of your heart. Each exhale empties the chest and makes the room for more calm. Your lungs are a quiet shore. The tide moves in, the tide moves out. You are floating, held by air, held by night. Your attention narrows in the nicest way. It stays with the simple things, the weight of the sheet at your ankle, the cool stripe of breeze across your cheek, the deep, slow warmth where body meets bed, the faint fragrance that moves through the room, jasmine, a little ylang-ylang, salt, leaf, sweet and light. It moves past, it returns, it becomes part of your sleep. The stars outside multiply. They do not ask to be counted. They are content to be seen once, then remembered by the body. A brilliant one holds steady over the dark trees. It looks like a promise kept. You do not need to decide anything now. You do not need to think. Thinking is not necessary. Feeling the breath is enough. In, out, slower, softer. You're sinking into a warm cradle that looks like your bed and feels like the sea. You're easy to hold. You're easy to keep. Every part of you has been greeted tonight. The forehead, the eyes, the jaw, the neck, the shoulders, the hands, the heart, the belly, the hips, the knees, the feet. Each one has become comfortable. Each one is ready. You are ready. You let the day continue without you. It can. It will. You're not needed anywhere else. You're here. You feel the quiet silence of the night as a living, warm thing. It does not press. It does not vanish. It keeps you company. The breeze becomes slower. Your breath becomes slower. They meet in the middle. They agree. The waves are still a long way away, but their rhythm is right here, in your chest, in your belly. Your jaw is soft. Your hands are soft. Your eyes are heavy. Your breath is slow. In, out, in, out. You're resting within a warm tropical peace. Even the stars seem to breathe with you. Light in, light out. You do not need to hold on. There is nothing to hold. You are held. The room humbles itself to its quiet tasks. It holds space. It keeps air moving. It remembers the day for you and lets you forget it. The ceiling is a pale shape in the dark. The walls are calm. The floor is kind. The bed is sure. All is well. All is well. You're safe. You're warm. You're loved by this place, by this night, by this breath. A small movement in the leaves near the window, then stillness. Everything returns to stillness. The silence grows sweeter. Your breath grows softer. Again and again and again. Like waves you do not need to watch. Your body becomes heavy and light together. Heavy where it meets the bed. Light everywhere else. Your thoughts become feathers. They drift and settle. They become part of the pillow. Your breath becomes a boat. It moves across a calm inlet of night. The oars are gentle. The water is silk. You're almost across. You're almost asleep. The stars lean closer. They are the same stars that watch the lantern rise. They are the same stars that watch the temple at dawn and the fields at noon and the river in the afternoon. They are here now, watching you rest. They do not need anything from you. You do not need anything from them. You simply share the night. You're inside a warm silence that loves you. It covers your shoulders. It rests at your feet. It tucks itself into the space between thoughts. It is kind. You let your breath fall into a pattern of 4, a slow, quiet 4. In for 1, hold for 1, out for 1, rest for 1, or no numbers at all, just the feeling, just the ease. If sleep arrives on the next exhale, it is welcome. If it arrives later, it is still welcome. You're already almost asleep. You're already deep in the night. The gecko calls once more, on the edge of the world. The waves fold and open, far away, like hands at prayer. The palm leaves keep their slow, kind talk with the breeze. All of it is for you. All of it is with you. Your feet are warm now. Your legs are heavy now. Your hips are soft now. Your back is easy now. Your shoulders are loose now. Your hands are quiet now. Your face is smooth now. Your eyes are closed, and they are happy to be closed. Everything is ready. Everything is simple. Your breath is a small tide. It ebbs. It flows. It ebbs. It flows. It is enough. You're drifting toward the edge where wakefulness turns into sleep. It is a soft edge. It is a friendly edge. There is nothing on the other side but rest. You go there slowly. You go there gently. You go there with the night. You feel night touch your forehead. You feel night touch your hands. You feel night touch your heart. You feel night touch your breath. It is warm. It is tender. It is here. You do not need to follow the thoughts. They are small boats leaving the village. Let them go. Your body stays on the shore. Warm, still, home. Your breath stays with you. Your breath knows the way. In, out, in, out. Each breath draws you deeper. Each breath lays you down. Each breath closes one more small door behind you. There is no rush. There is nothing to manage. Sleep is coming as a guest, a welcome guest. It walks softly. It sits beside you. It puts its hand on your shoulder. It says, I am here, and you agree. You agree with your whole body. You agree with your whole breath. You agree with your whole night. The stars are steady, the room is held, the sheets are soft, the air is warm. You're safe, you're quiet, you're sleeping. If you're not sleeping yet, you are so close. If you're already sleeping, sleep deeper. Down, down, into the warm water of night, floating, cradled, weightless, kind. Your breath, your breath, your breath. It goes on without you. It goes on with you. It goes on for you. The waves keep their distant rhythm. The gecko keeps its gentle watch. The stars keep their soft vigil. You keep nothing. You let go. Sleeper and sea and sky become one warm field. No edges, no plans, only rest. The curtain lifts, the curtain falls, the net drifts, the net stills. All of it is a lullaby in the language of air. The bed supports you, the pillow cradles you, the sheet covers you, the room holds you, the night surrounds you, and you soften, and you sink, and you sleep, 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 deeper, warmer, quieter, safe, home, peace, peace, peace.